If you are listening to me right now, I want you to understand something clearly. Spiritual vulnerability is rarely caused by one big mistake. It is almost never caused by one dramatic sin. And it is not always caused by witchcraft attacks. From inside the occult, we learn something that most believers never hear. Daily habits weaken people faster than rituals ever could. We did not wait for Christians to fail publicly. We watched how they lived privately. We observed what they tolerated, what they repeated, what they ignored. And slowly, very slowly, their spiritual defenses weakened. This video is not to scare you. It is to restore awareness. Because many sincere, praying, church-going believers are spiritually exposed, not because God abandoned them, but because certain daily habits quietly lower their resistance. Let me be clear. You can pray. You can fast. You can love God. And still live with habits that weaken spiritual authority. Tonight, I will expose 7 daily habits that make people spiritually vulnerable, and how to reverse them. Habit number 1, starting every day without spiritual alignment. This was one of the biggest indicators we watched. When someone woke up and immediately grabbed their phone. Immediately entered noise. Immediately entered pressure. We knew something important. Their spirit had not taken the lead. The first voice you submit to in the morning matters. When the mind is flooded before the spirit is aligned, spiritual sensitivity dulls. Prayer later in the day helps, but it does not undo the direction already set. In the coven, we understood this principle. Whoever sets the tone controls the flow. A day started without alignment often ends with exhaustion, confusion, irritability, or temptation. This does not mean long prayers every morning. It means intentional awareness. Even one song. One moment of surrender. One declaration of dependence. When alignment disappears, vulnerability begins. Habit number 2, normalizing emotional leakage. This habit weakens people quietly. Unprocessed anger. Unresolved bitterness. Silent resentment. Unchecked grief. Emotion is not weakness, but leaking emotion is. In the spirit realm, emotions are not invisible. They are signals. We paid attention to people who carried emotional wounds daily but never addressed them. Why? Because unresolved emotion drains spiritual strength. Scripture already tells us this. Guard your heart, for out of it flow the issues of life. When the heart leaks, authority leaks. Some people pray powerfully, but carry daily irritation, offense, or bitterness. That contradiction weakens resistance. Healing restores strength. Ignoring pain increases vulnerability. Habit number 3, constant spiritual consumption without application. This one surprises many believers. They watch sermons daily. They listen to teachings constantly. They consume spiritual content non-stop. But they do not apply it. In the occult, we call this spiritual saturation without transformation. Knowledge without obedience does not increase authority. In fact, it can increase accountability. When truth is heard but not practiced, the conscience dulls. And a dull conscience weakens discernment. Spiritual growth is not measured by how much you know. It is measured by how much you live. One truth obeyed strengthens you more than 10 sermons ignored. Habit number 4, careless words spoken daily. Words are not neutral. We knew this very well. Casual negativity. Self-insults. Hopeless jokes. Repeated complaints. Many believers weaken themselves with their own mouths. They say things like, "Nothing ever works for me. I'm always unlucky. I'll probably fail again." Even when said jokingly, words shape agreement. The spirit realm responds to patterns, not moments. When negative speech becomes routine, it forms alignment. Scripture warns us. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Daily words either reinforce authority or erode it. Silence is sometimes stronger than careless speech. Habit number 5, living without spiritual boundaries. This habit is extremely common. Overaccess. Overexposure. Overavailability. Some people allow everyone access to their time, emotions, space, and attention. But boundaries are not selfish. They are protective. In the occult, people without boundaries were easy targets. Why? Because exhaustion weakens discernment. Burnout lowers resistance. When you say yes to everything, you say no to protection. Even Jesus withdrew. Even Jesus rested. Even Jesus limited access. Daily boundary neglect leads to spiritual fatigue. And fatigue opens doors. Habit number 6, ignoring small prompts and warnings. This one is subtle but dangerous. That inner nudge to avoid a conversation. That sense of discomfort you ignored. That warning you dismissed. Spiritual sensitivity works like muscle memory. When ignored repeatedly, it weakens. We watch people override discernment daily, until discernment went quiet. Not because God stopped speaking, but because the heart stopped listening. Scripture says, "Today, if you hear His voice, do not harden your heart." Sensitivity is preserved through obedience. Ignoring small warnings trains the spirit to stay silent. Habit number 7, ending each day without closure or covering. This final habit sealed many cases. People slept with unrepented attitudes, unreleased offense, mental noise, unprocessed fear. Nighttime is not neutral spiritually. Ending the day without reflection or surrender leaves doors open. Even a simple prayer of release matters. Forgiving, releasing burdens, surrendering thoughts, thanking God. Sleep without spiritual closure weakens covering. Peace seals authority. Why these habits matter? Let me say this clearly. None of these habits look dangerous on their own. That is why they work. Darkness rarely attacks what is guarded. It exploits what is neglected. Daily habits create long-term conditions. And long-term conditions determine spiritual strength. How to restore spiritual strength? The solution is not fear. It is awareness and alignment. Start small. One intentional moment in the morning. One boundary respected. One emotion processed. One word guarded. One prompt obeyed. One peaceful surrender at night. Strength returns gradually, but surely. I am sharing this because I saw too many sincere believers weaken unnecessarily. Not cursed. Not abandoned. Just unaware. And awareness changes everything. Say this quietly if it resonates. I choose awareness over ignorance. I choose alignment over distraction. I choose strength over vulnerability. My spiritual defenses are restored. If this teaching exposed something you recognized, do not feel condemned. Feel empowered. Light does not accuse, it reveals. And revelation is the beginning of restoration.